On today, so after a while, you sort of run out of ways to introduce dark rides that aren't actually dark inside. So instead, let's talk about how you hide a massive show building with as little effort as you possibly can. Pow, pow, pow! Hi you guys, welcome back to Planet Coaster, welcome back to our janky park inspired by Oakwood and Pleasurewood Hills here in the UK. And this is the park where we talk a big game about swathes of wide open space. And in the last episode we did this, a forest where we enclosed everything, because of course we did. But it's okay, it's still sparsely populated, it's just we put a lot of trees in. So we need to go back to the idea of wide open spaces, and that's what I've been doing off camera. I've put a lake in, I'm not sold on the positioning of the lake, but the lake is in, and I've started to get a feel for how I want the rest of the park to go. Spoiler alert, there's the final coaster that's going in. I think I'm going to cave in and it's just going to be a woody, right? You guys keep suggesting it, so let's just let's just do it. But this is what we're going to focus on this week. It's going to be a shooting ride, and I think I am just going to steal Sheriff Showdown at Drayton Manor. I need to alter the layout slightly because I don't like this long these long bits, right? It needs to be more curvy and whatever, so I just need to do that. But it's basically going to be a shooting ride in a massive warehouse. By the way, I can't wait to see what Planet Coaster 2 is going to generate for dark rides. We've just had it confirmed, well, in my timeline we've just had it confirmed that we can do dark spaces because of ray tracing and stuff, but for you guys that's going to have been like weeks ago, right? It's old news. I expect there's probably more news that's come out since then. Anyway, so what we're going to do, a shooting ride in a massive warehouse with a bit of a fascia frontage to it, just to make it look a little bit westerny. And then I'm just going to detail up all of this area here, just to get this area all sort of like finished and whatever, because I still want to continue this idea of wide open spaces and stuff. So we need to get that done. So that's my focus. I will see you in a minute, because it'll all be, well, it won't be done. It'll be the middle part of the episode. I'll see you in a minute. Oh, you guys, it's quite difficult to know when you're actually halfway through a build, when you're doing a build like this. Like, it's a mess, and there's enough to show you, so I think I'm about ready to show you, but it's difficult to know where the halfway point is. So anyway, I think I've got enough. Let's just go with it and see what happens, right? Because this is the warehouse, this is how it's sitting, and I quite like how this is. Yes, the layout, by the way, has completely changed, and the warehouse is about 2/3 of the size that it was. It did actually stick all the way out here, but no, this is a much better layout. I'll go through that in a moment. But just on the outside, I'm starting to get a feel for the industrial side of the park. So like these warehouses, for example, they've come from Reigate Lake. They were probably one of my favourite parts of Reigate Lake, right? So I thought, yep, it needs to come in, pay homage to a build of the past, and put this in. And it feels like it's probably about right that it would sit to the back of this warehouse, especially as it's going to be connected here. Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. We'll talk about that when that becomes a thing, because this is ultimately the show building. And on the front here, I'm just starting, like, this is just such a mess. This is just, you're going to watch this and go, I don't even know what you're trying to achieve. Honestly, in my head, this all makes sense. So what I'm trying to do here is a bit of a facade, right? That's going to hide the actual show building itself. But I don't know really how much effort to go into to do this, because if you look at Oakwood, they've got one near the Netherland area, and it's just, it's half hidden. You can see the warehouse quite clearly, so I don't really know what effort I need to go to. I don't know how I'm going to decorate this or anything. This is just my first initial thoughts. But anyway, let's go inside, shall we? So we've got the indoor queue. Again, I have just literally stolen Drayton Manor. Not even sorry, I have just stolen it. So we've got a bit of a cave, sort of like a mining bit going on in here. It makes absolutely no sense because you walk through a building and you end up in a cave. It doesn't need to make sense because it's a jank park. And then we're going to come through this way with the really bad camera angles, and then you come into the station, right? So there's the station, and then right in front of you is the maintenance bay, which of course is looking like this. There you go. It needs flooring and it needs all sorts of kitting out. In fact, a lot of the stuff on here is, as you can imagine, very unfinished, but I have started to put some of the targets and stuff in. I have decided to make it an actual in-game ride, so the targets are going to be jank. We don't have any other targets, so we just have to work with what we've got. But we're walking down this way, and we're in this like cave. We're in the mine. We're in the whatever you want to call it. So, yeah, I like this. Do you know, I think I'm going to put a ceiling to this. I don't think I'm going to keep this as the warehouse roof up there. I think I am actually going to put a ceiling to this one. It feels like it probably needs to be enclosed. But for the majority of the other parts of the scenes, I don't think I'm going to have roofs on it. I think it's just going to have the warehouse roof. So then we come out here, and this is like the first town scene. I've borrowed a lot of this stuff, by the way, from the Cadnam Castle build. Just because A, it's ready and it was good enough, and B, it was good enough to use. And with Planet Coaster 2 stuff and content and whatever, well, you know I need to free up time. So corners can be cut if the stuff is good enough. It needs touching up, right? Because it's not designed for this space. So I'm fully aware that all of these windows and stuff just look awful. I know it needs tidying up, but hey, it's fine. However, this is what I wanted to achieve with the like the little bit of a town scene. You're just walking through all of this clutter, all the barrels, all of the telegraph poles, and all that sort of stuff. Again, it's straight from Drayton Manor. It's exactly what they do. They just sort of clutter the area out and hope for the best. Then we're going to walk through this way, and then we're going to come out to another town scene. This is where the hotel is sitting, and actually, I quite like how this sits. Again, I need to tidy all of this up, but yeah, I just like how it sits. And it's another town scene. There's a horse staring at me. That's actually quite creepy. And then we come through into the general store, which actually isn't a general store. It's going to be the bar. So I don't know whether I'm going to change the sign to be a saloon and whatever. But this is the saloon scene, and because this has to be an indoor scene, but I don't want to put a roof on here because, of course, it needs to be warehouse, and we're dealing with jank and low budget and corners being cut where I can. What I've done is I've put up some chipboard, or as we know it in the UK, MDF, this chipboard, and that would kind of create that dark scene that you would need. Remembering that you're blinded from the lights from the top down, so the darkness is there. You just have this void of darkness above the scene, so this wouldn't be here. It needs tidying up and stuff, but yeah, this chipboard would just sort of stop the light from bleeding from other scenes that you've got. But this is the only room that's going to have this. The rest of the rooms are all fine with their bleeding and stuff. I quite like how this looks from peep level. Actually, this is fairly decent. It needs, again, it's fine details and it's touch ups and whatever, but I'm happy with this. Again, it's basically the scene from Cadnam Castle. It's the bar from Cadnam Castle. Not even sorry. And then we've just got an outdoor scene. I just wanted to waste the rest of the ride, basically. I haven't put targets and stuff in here yet. I do need to do that. But this just feels like it needs to be the outside of the desert. That's why we've got this really awful mural of sand. It's supposed to represent the desert and whatever. And then lots of cacti, isn't it, for the plural? Lots of cacti going on in here, and then you just sort of like come under these covers. Happy days, right? And it's the end of the it's the end of the ride. So I'm keeping it really simple, like painfully simple, but it's a jank piece of work, right? So yeah, in terms of the wide open space, I kind of regret doing a park like this now, right? Because I've now just discovered Marineland, and whereas the UK's version of jank is actually quite classy still, the overseas, you guys have got some proper jank, haven't you? Marineland is like would have been the perfect park to base this park on. It's just this mass wide open space with a few rides dotted in, no real coherency to it. I love it. Anyway, we are where we are, so this is where this is sitting. But what I was about to talk about is just this idea of still creating this open space. This is all going to be grass area. This bit will probably be grass area, and I'll just put some of the foliage to continue the continuity for the forest area and stuff that's going to be here. Path covers and stuff will need to go down, and then I just need to make sense of this part of the lake and how I want the lake to actually be. And then I do need to carry on working on this building. That I think this needs to be done in this episode, so we know how the area flows and how the area is. But I have just opened up this wall because we need to have some kind of through flow and whatever here, and I have just put an extra bit of patio in here as well, so it's just kind of killing the space a little bit. But do you know what? I quite like how this is actually sitting. I think this works quite nicely, and I think it's going to work nicely when the fascia is completely up. I'm not going to bother doing one this side, by the way. The park wouldn't bother. It's just literally the front, and that's all you're going to get. So I'm going to find out if I was actually halfway through. I'll see you in a minute. Alright, a couple of things then, guys. So yes, I was about halfway through in terms of effort. Visually, maybe not. I think this has probably changed quite a bit. And secondly, I didn't realise until now that the previous update had no sound on it. And I do keep multiple save files, but I'd already overridden the save file, so I couldn't even go back and re-record it. So apologies for that. You had to deal with my clumsy fingers. It's my weekend name. So here we go. This is the final product, and I actually really like how this sits in the park. I kind of wanted it to feel like there could have been maybe a Pinvari sat here at some point, and it's been sort of demolished and it's gone, and in its place is the shooting ride. And yes, it's exactly as I wanted it to be. Like, it even hides the warehouse perfectly. Like, this fascia is just brilliant. Like, I knew when I was starting to plan it out that it was going to be okay, even though in the last update it was a bit, you know, gash. But it's worked out really nicely. This bit around the back here is all also sort of like done. It's a working maintenance service area, but again, it sort of hides the warehouse quite nicely. But there is this stark warehouse that's here at the side of the railway. It's everything I wanted this to be. It's full on jank. Like, they've made the effort to hide the warehouse from the guests from this point of view, but the second you get around here, no, there's the warehouse. And, I am going to do some stuff around here, but I obviously need to do the wooden coaster and stuff and know how this area is actually going to flow before I can start kitting it out and doing its final touches. So let's have a look inside, shall we? For this one, I am going to turn it to night time, because of course dark rides are always best viewed at night. So here we go. Here is, oh, let's do the queue first actually. So this is the queue line. It's just a couple of bit of like low level lighting, and it's very much cave like, or like mine like. It's fine. It's all it needs to be. I've put down the concrete floor, and yeah, I didn't even want textures, like, because remember, we're going for jank, so we're not going to have themed. We would just put concrete down and we would be done with it. But yeah, it's fine. I spent all of the barrel budget on concrete, so that's why you've only got a couple of barrels. Here's the station then, just nice and in here. You will hear, by the way, Ross Bugden is back with his music. I use it pretty much everywhere, don't I really? So yeah, I love it. I love his stuff. It's brilliant. And this is the Wild West one that he did. The park would have music, by the way. I just haven't gone and put it in yet. Like, Oakwood's got music everywhere, so I think it's probably only right that we that we put music in. So coming around the area then. This is the first mine bit. I've just realised, by the way, that the guests will actually shoot targets that are in different scenes. So, like, these guests here will be shooting targets that are beyond the wall because it doesn't have collision detection. It's the most weird thing. So yeah, there you go. There's the end of the mine. I like it, right? I just think it's decent. Everything is so simple, everything is so elegant, and yeah, I really enjoy it. So this is the town scene, and I quite like the star panels because it sort of brings it to life. The Drayton Manor one uses lighting and stuff on the ceiling to make it look like stars. That's really clever. I didn't want to go down that kind of route. For me, it was just a little bit too tacky. But I like the fact that you can see the stuff on the ceiling, and I like the fact that you can see all the industrial stuff. Now, I know that you can achieve blackout stuff, but I'm a realism builder, so you know, you don't achieve realism by using blackout panels. You achieve realism by having the ceiling on show, and I love it. I absolutely love it. So this is the actual main the town scene. Yeah, it's touching up on whatever has happened, and I've put all of the targets and stuff in. The targets are so gross. They're so just there, and it's just perfect. I love it. Then we come through this way. Out to the hotel. There's the hotel then, nicely lit up and nicely just there. I quite like actually how this sand effect is. It's only the arch, not arch shapes. It's not even the arch shapes. It's the, I think it's hydro square, coloured sandy colour and just made into dunes. That's it. I didn't want to put anything on the landscape, right? I didn't want to put cactus and stuff on there. I just wanted it to feel like it was just there as a scene. Like, I like it. So there's the I did keep it the general store, even though it's not the general store. I just felt like it needed that sign, and I couldn't be bothered to do a saloon sign. But inside here, I like it in here. I've put some coloured lighting off of the ceiling just to give it a little bit of ambient lighting. And now that the MDF wood chip boards are up, it sort of like feels alright, doesn't it? In here, it feels like it should. So yeah, I'm happy with it. The piano, by the way, I got this question last time when I used it in Cadlam Castle. The piano is actually in game. I didn't know it existed. It doesn't play, unfortunately, but I don't know, it doesn't play, but it's in game anyway. But yeah, so there's the there's the bar. Love it. It's just so simple. And then we come out into the desert, and again, this is where you get all of the dune effect on the wall, the star panel. It's really simple. It's just proper jank, cheap. They almost like cheaped out on this bit, and they ran out of money, and they were like, yeah, okay. Like even the we do this in all of our high budget parks, right, where you have a whole world above the scenes that you're setting. So you like have walkways and runways and stuff where you would maintain all of the special effects, but we don't have special effects to maintain. We don't have lights to maintain. We don't have anything like that, so you don't need any of that stuff. It's really weird. Like, I'm so used to putting in a ton of effort into these dark rides, but actually this just enables me to tell more of a story using scenery and stuff, and I love it. So coming out this way, I didn't show you this last time, but there is a ride photo. Of course, you're going to have like your score and stuff on a board. I can't put the screens up, unfortunately, because I still get the crash, but this would be where you'd put all of your, you would have all of your scores and stuff. So yeah, there you go. That's the dark ride. Let me just put this back into daytime because there's some other stuff to show you. I got a little bit carried away. Down this side then, I decided not to do full-on forest. I actually put some flowers and stuff in, and I'm glad I did. The area now kind of breathes, and it feels like it should, especially down this bit. I wanted it to have a bit of aging to it, so as we said in the last episode, nature knows no boundaries, so it's sort of like growing through and stuff. And yeah, this whole pathway bit is now nice. I like it. It's open enough. It's it breathes, and that's exactly what I was going for. I absolutely love this next bit, and I've fallen on it accidentally. So I wanted to do an artificial kind of lake, and I didn't want to use the stone because I've used that before. I didn't want to use the windowsills and stuff, but I actually ended up doing this like fence and then putting the mulch up to it as if it was sort of like rested up against it, and it works out so well. I love it, especially this bit here where you've now got a pier that sits over the top of it, so you can almost imagine that the grass is coming down to the water level, and well, it does go down to the water level. You can actually see it with your own eyes, and it's a nice little seating area, and I love it. And then that just carries on around this way, and then I've just continued the tarmac theme all along here, and yeah, I like how this area has turned out. Then the actual barbecue unit has now got a bit of a personality. I wanted to go all out with some kind of branding, but I didn't want to go all out with decorating because remember it would be cheap. So you've got the patio area there, you've got the patio area there, and then just lots of the branded signs around everywhere else. Inside, I've just done a little bit of kitting out. I don't want to do too much in here because that's not the main focus of the actual build. But the Moorish kebabs shop fronts actually look pretty good in here, so that's what I've done, and I've just called it a day there. Then I have also completed all of the stuff around here. This is where I did get a little bit carried away. I wasn't going to do this ride until the next episode, but actually to get a feel for the context of this area and how it looks like this from the top, I needed to do this ride, and it was kind of easy enough to do. It's always going to be generic and jank, right? You're always going to have the metal pole queue lines and stuff. So yeah, I just threw it down, and actually I quite like it. What I think I'm going to do is bring the pathway around here, bring another path around this way, so you can get to the go-karts, and I think, but I don't know yet, I think I'm going to have a bridge going across here that will then link up to the rest of the lake that way. But I don't know what I'm going to do around this side yet. I haven't quite decided. So there it is in the context of the park. It's looking all right. Actually, I like how this is sitting. It's exactly as I wanted it to be. And as I said, it feels like there could have been the Pinfari or some sort of small coaster in this space at some point in the past, and it's now taken on a new shape. So this is what we're going to be doing in the next episode. I better go off and do that. But guys, thank you so much for getting to the end of this one. I really do appreciate you, especially as there's a lot of creators that are coming back, and you could have spent your time with them and you didn't. You spend it with me. So thank you. I really do appreciate it. If you have, or if you haven't already, please do like the video. Please do subscribe, because we've got plenty more coming. I will see you next week. Have a good week. Take care, guys. Bye.